Hello everyone, my name is Eric. I've been doing iron work for the last 20 odd years. Okay, so this video is about me trying to explain about steel, about gates, about grills and other items, but this particular one we're going to concentrate on gate first. Okay, so I hope after this video you will understand a lot better about gates, and when you actually make a purchase, you know how to choose what you need and how to negotiate and talk to your supplier, whoever is your gate fabricator at the time, that you know you won't get conned or won't get cheated. Okay, we're going to talk about gates. Okay, so in Malaysia we have 4 types of materials, okay, for gates. So we have the steel, the stainless steel, the wrought iron, and the full aluminum. Okay, so basically nowadays we do a combination. We combine 2 different materials to do a single piece of gate, but that's not necessarily the case. It can be all steel, it can be all aluminum, or stainless steel, or wrought iron. But now we also can do a combination of steel and aluminum, okay, or stainless steel with aluminum, because we want to do all the different type of finishing. We want to get the different patterns. So at the end, what type of material you choose will depends on how your gate design. So the best thing to do is actually to consult a specialist, consult a fabricator, ask them to show you, okay, what are the gates design that they can manufacture or they have manufactured before. Or there is also albums that is available for sale. I believe in some of the bookshops they will have it. They have a compilation album, or you just go online and search for it. Okay, or if you see any of your neighbors, you see a gate that you like, okay, you can always ask them. And there are different type of manufacturers, so there are different components involved, and certain components are specialized, dedicated to a certain fabricator, so only they would have that particular type of materials. Okay, so now we go into steel. So okay, let's talk about the steel material first. Okay, steel is actually the cheapest one to fabricate. Okay, but the problem with steel is that it rusts. So what do you do? Okay, in order to prevent rusting, normally we recommend the customer do hot dip galvanize. Okay, hot dip galvanize. So hot dip galvanize is like our lamppost. Okay, on the highway you see our lamppost, it never actually rusts. So that process is called the hot dip galvanized process, and with that the steel would then last and be more durable. So once the material is made and it's hot dip, right, what I advise the customer to do is to do for spray painting. Okay, but of course they have to use the right paint for it. If not, you'll peel off within 1 or 2 months. Okay, but there is a right paint for hot dip galvanized, and if they're using the right paint, it will last you for years, okay, before you need to repaint. So there's pros and cons. When you do a hot dip galvanized, okay, you can respray the gate over and over again, so there's no limit to how many times you can spray the gate. Okay, so you will be able to repaint it over time and change the colors, do antique colors, do other things to the gate, and you all look brand new again. Okay, but if you don't galvanize, right, what will happen is rust going to start to appear. Okay, and it's just going to wear the gate down. So within maybe 10 years, the gate probably will not be able to use after that. Okay, it's going to start rusting, and your material is going to get thinner, and you're going to have holes in the material. The other finishing for steel is powder coating, right? But powder coating is not recommended for steel. especially for gates. Okay, it's okay if you do indoor items. So if you're doing grills that is only indoors, it's fine, because why? They don't come into contact with water, because when you come into contact with water, the steel will rust. So we need a hot dip galvanized to protect the inside and out of the steel material. But for powder coating, it's only on the external coat, so it's only coated on the outside. So what will happen if you do it on a gate? All the water will actually feed into the steel, the inner part of the steel, and it start rusting from the inside, and it's going to break down, and it's going to spoil at the same not at the same rate as if you don't galvanize it. So what I normally recommend for anyone is not to powder coat the gate, not when it's steel, but they can powder coat it if the fabricator is efficient enough, or he has a technical know-how to be able to galvanize the gate and powder coat, because not that many fabricators can do this, and someone will tell you no, it's not possible. It is possible, it's just that not many people can do this, and it's a very tedious and expensive process. Okay, so there's only limited number of people who can do it. Okay, so then we come down to a combination of steel and aluminum. So you can put aluminum planks. Okay, aluminum by itself is a non-rusting material. Okay, it will last and last, but the problem is aluminum has to be colored. The natural anodized color doesn't really last. It's not really good for outdoor use. I mean, it won't change color, but you know, the finishing is a bit weird sometimes. So normally we will powder coat the aluminum panels. So we'll do steel frame, okay, for strength, rigidity, and then we put aluminum inside the gate so that it lightens up, so that the gate itself is not so heavy, right? So it's lighter and you can be more durable. Okay, now we go on to stainless steel. Stainless steel is my recommendation is always to use the 304 grade stainless steel. Okay, there are different grades in the market, but 304 is the most commonly used grade to do gate, and probably the most economical one. Okay, so mostly Malaysia only have 304, but of course they do have imported lower grade material stainless steels, but as long as it's 304 grade mill certified, you're fine. Okay, so same thing, you can be a full stainless steel gate or stainless steel with aluminum. Okay, so stainless steel itself have two different type of finishing. Okay, the hairline finish and the mirror finish. What we call mirror finish is like shining. Okay, you can have a reflection, but most of the time it's not fully reflective. It's just reflective, but it's not like a mirror where you can actually see your own face. Okay, sometimes they might be able to polish up to that extent. It depends on the fabricator also, but most of the time it's almost mirror. That means you can see reflection, you can see yourself, but not very clearly. Okay, and then the other one is hairline with the brush finish. So that one is like a matte, more like a matte finish. Okay, so again, stainless steel you can combine with aluminum to give you that kind of stainless steel frame with powder coated wood finish, because aluminum has a lot of options. Okay, aluminum when it's powder coated, you can actually do artificial wood finishing. You can do artificial marble finish. There's a lot of finishing that you can use for aluminum powder coating. Okay, and you can also go back to matte colors. You can go back to gloss colors. Okay, so those are the things that you can put into a stainless steel gate. And then now we come down to full aluminum. So like those combination gates, full aluminum, basically everything is made out of aluminum. Okay, my problem with this is that aluminum powder coating has a lifespan. So it has maybe 10 years, 5 years, it will start to fade, the colors start to fade. Okay, because it's on outdoor, it's under rain and shine. So after about 5 years, you'll probably start to fade, and by the time it hit 10 years, you see the color to be much lighter. And the bad thing about it is it's very difficult to re-powder coat. It's not easy to refinish the gate. You have to scrub everything and powder coat, so that actually costs a lot more money than to buy a new gate. So most of the time, if your gate actually worns down to that extent, maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line, then it's time to change the new gate. So there is that problem for aluminum gates. So like the other gates, aluminum is always powder coated. Okay, so it's a lightweight gate. It's a much softer material compared to steel. So structural rigidity is not as strong, and you cannot actually weld aluminum. I'm not saying you can't weld, but it's a bit difficult to weld aluminum, and there are not many welders for aluminum in Malaysia. So it's a bit of scarcity. So most of the time, aluminum are joined together through joints. So they actually screw them together. So what happens is, if you have a very big gate with using aluminum, it would actually cause structural rigidity might be an issue. Okay, and the durability also might be an issue. Okay, so most of the time when they're riveted together, it might not last that long. But saying that, it will still last probably 10 years. It depends on what type of gate that you're using. Okay, and then the next one we're talking about is wrought iron. Okay, wrought iron in Malaysia as a material is basically steel material. So it has to be hot dip galvanized. Okay, most of the wrought iron materials here are add-ons to the steel material. Okay, so they are using steel and adding patterns to it. Okay, but the thing is, most of the time wrought iron are more expensive than steel, because steel gates we can use hollow, we can use empty materials, but wrought iron normally is using solid steel. Okay, so it's more durable. Okay, it's thicker by itself, but it still rusts. So at the end of the day, it still has to be hot dip galvanized, and that costs the price difference, okay, between steel and wrought iron. And of course, wrought iron has a lot more components, so it's a bit more classical design. You have a lot of flowers, you can do a lot of patterns to it. You can do gardens, you got seaweed, you have different leaves and flowers, roses, things like that. So if you like that kind of more classical design, okay, those are the gates to go for. Okay, so now we have actually covered gates. Okay, let's talk about the opening of the gate. How does a gate open? All right, so basically we do have three types. Okay, the basic three types. We have a swing gate, the sliding gate, okay, and the folding gate. Okay, so now there are a lot of variations to this, but these are the base three type of gates that we have. My personal favorite is the swing gate. Okay, whatever material you use, I prefer the swing gate compared to any other type of opening. Okay, so the reason for that is because swing gate only has 4 bearings, right? Whereas folding gates, okay, whether it's trackless or tracked, you have at least 8 to 10, right? The track system has 10, the trackless have at least 8, but they comes with their own sets of problems, because the more bearing you have, the more issues that you have. Even swing gate is not totally issue free, because bearings has a lifespan as well, depending on how many times you open the gate. So the bearings are designed to open a certain number of times. Once you pass that, then of course the bearing will fail. So it depends on how many cars coming out of your house, how many times you open. If a normal terrace house, you probably last you more than 10 years, or maybe sometime around 15 years. But if you have a bungalow, or if you if you come in out of the house every day, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, the chances are the bearings are going to fail faster. So those are the things that you need to maintain. Okay, and because that's the point as well I was trying to make. Why, if you do a steel gate, we normally don't recommend you do powder coating, because powder coating you cannot repaint, right? Whereas steel gate with a steel frame, hot dip galvanized, prevent rust, then you can actually repaint the gate over and over again. Okay, So if there's any maintenance, any change of bearings, you can buy a set of paint from any hardware shop and repaint the whole frame again, and you have a brand new frame, you know, without any discoloration. Okay, then okay, swing gate. The bad point about swing gate, the good and the bad. Swing gate is a lot more durable. Okay, the bad point of swing gate is it takes up space. So spacing, it becomes a bit of an issue, because why, when you swing the gate, right, it takes more space in front, so you can't actually park any cars in front. Or if you're living in a very tight, you know, road to house areas, then it becomes a bit more difficult for you to come into the house. But you know, generally speaking, you know, that is actually for me, I think it's the best gate to have. Okay, next comes, okay, the variation of sliding that we came up with. This is a lot newer, which is the folding gate. The folding gate, it actually folds two sides. Okay, right? So you end up having 4 panels instead of 2, which means you have a smaller paneling, and which also means that when you fold the gate, you know, it takes up less space at the front. Okay, and because it goes to a side in a sense, it actually, you know, saves a lot of space, and you can actually park another car right in the center without actually having the gate hit it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the problem with folding gate is that because the number of bearings that you have, you might have a bit more technical, you have a bit more maintenance involved, because you know, you have to change the bearings, and chances are folding gates are normally bigger. Okay, so they're normally a little bit longer, which means the gate's heavier, also, which means that, you know, you have more issue, you have more maintenance involved. Okay, folding gate. Okay, normally my recommendation for folding gate, don't do folding gate anything below 14 feet. Okay, 14 feet, because there's no point, you might as well go to swing, because it doesn't make much difference. 14 feet and above, you do folding gate. My personal thinking is above 16, that's the best. Above 16, and once you hit above 18, please try to use track system rather than trackless. So what happened is, over time, if you do a trackless system, okay, it has a tendency to sort of come down a little, you know, over a long period of usage. You know, you open and close, the bearings has a tendency to readjust and sort of, you know, shift slightly. So when that happens, sometimes the gate will, you know, go out of proportion. You know, it might not, the auto closing might not close properly, it might go out of sequence, so things like that, and it will probably just flop downwards. Okay, so the gate would drop downwards like that. So when it does that, then you probably have to redo all the adjustments, and there is only even the adjustable bearings have a certain limited number of adjustments you can do. Once you hit that, then you cannot actually adjust anymore. You probably have to change the whole set as well. So that is actually the bad point. So with the center, the track system, it has an additional bearing at the center here to hold it in place. So when that gives it an extra traction, but of course this has a lifespan, so when that gives way, also you have an issue. So every maybe a couple of years, you might need to get a crew into maintenance and change that. So as and when the issue arises, okay, if the issue don't arise, then it's fine. Okay, next we come to sliding gate. Okay, sliding gate, right, is very convenient. There is, once you slide, it actually hides at the side. But the problem with sliding gate is most terrace houses would not be able to do. Okay, of course you have the double sliding where the gate will slide to one side, okay, come back, then slide to the other side and come back. But that would give you it takes out a lot, not say take a lot of space, but you know, it looks a bit bulky, a bit big. So that is one option for terrace house if you want to do a sliding gate. The other one is the gates are normally become smaller, because most terrace houses are 20 feet to 20 over feet, and you need a column and a pillar which takes up about 2 feet on each side, or minimum at least 2 or 1 feet, because you need to put a rubbish bin and things like that. So it ends up the gate being smaller, and most terrace houses would not be able to fit a sliding gate in. So sliding gates are normally reserved for semi-Ds and bungalows or cluster homes, those with bigger than 24 feet or maybe even bigger by up to 30 over feet. Then it makes more sense to do a sliding because you have land, you have enough space, you can open a 12 feet opening, and you have a 24 feet wide opening. You can hide the 12 feet gate, okay, then you can actually drive in. But of course, again, sliding runs on bearings on floor, so those has some maintenance involved. It will probably last you maybe 5 years or 10 years, depending on how much you open. Okay, so I have customers who use for 5. I got some customers who even use for 2 or 3 that started giving problems, but that one is like super high usage. Okay, most people are about 5 years. Okay, then okay, again, depending on the type of bearing that was given. So if a good bearing will last you 5, the bad bearings will last you 2 or 3. Okay, it depends on the fabricators what they give you, and the loading of the bearing, because bearing has we have a lot of different type of bearings, so it depends on the loading factor. So the higher the loading, the longer your bearing will last. Okay, those are very hard to explain. Those are very technical, and only fabricators like us will understand and know which bearing will last for what usage. You can ask them to give you the specification, but most of the time they will not be able to present those to you as well, because from our experience we hardly can get those data because they don't manufacture it into a certain standard. Okay, they don't actually follow a certain standard. So we know certain brands does better work, certain brands give you very inferior products. So sliding gate have that kind of advantage, so you can save a lot of space, and so that's it. I think I've covered most items on the gates. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you think what I said is useful, please like and subscribe, and I'll try to put up more contents so that I can help everybody else not to get cheated, as well as to understand better. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section below, and I will try to answer them for you. Okay, thank you very much.